Here we go. Look at that guy. He's so beautiful. It's episode 152 with the great John Canzano. Stop blushing. You're beautiful.
Thank you, baby.
JohnCanzano.com. Bald Face True, 750 the game. All brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Visit Zeke'sPizza.com for the best selection of local Northwest craft beers. I was joking with John as I hit record on this one. I've been dealing with my bank account and credit card because I got scammed. And I swear to God, man, I went through this with my computer about about a month ago. I must just be an easy target for these people because I had you'll appreciate this, being a baseball player. We were visiting a friend of mine whose high school kid is graduating down in Vancouver, and we were there on Sunday. Then my 10-year-old baseball kid, as we're coming home, realizes halfway through the trip, I left my glove down there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, son of, we've got practice this week. We've got a game. I'm like, okay, great. And so I called my buddy and I said, hey, man, can you ship that up, please? Just, overnight it or whatever, because he's going to need the glove. Yeah, no problem. So then he's like, it's going to be coming here. You should expect it as we record this on Tuesday. Then I get a text. From, hey, it hasn't been delivered because we couldn't read the address. Text Y here to accept and then put in your right address. So I did, and then I hit a link like an idiot that took me to the USPS official website and put in your credit card information. Didn't work. Debit card, that doesn't work. Why is that not working? Well, then I'll try my credit card. But that didn't work. I'm like, God, what's going on? So I text my buddy. I'm like, hey, have you getting any notifications that package hasn't been delivered or delayed? He's like, hey, you're getting scammed, you moron. I'm like, shit.
You can't click. You can't
Nothing.
answer a call. You cannot open an email.
I know.
They have. And here's the other thing with the scammers. I had a friend recently, and he's like you, a competent, intelligent, normal human being. All he did was open an email, and they got access to his email, went in, looked at some work he was doing with one of the universities, emailed the university from this guy's email account, and said, we want you to change the routing number when you pay him. And so his paychecks were going to the scammers in some bank account that they set up. Just apply yourself. If you're a scammer and you happen to be watching this, just go out and apply yourself. You're going to do fine in the normal world. You're not going to have to worry about looking over your shoulder, and you're not going to be terrorizing people. If you can scam Puck, if you can scam my other friend, you can get a job, you can work, you can be successful in life. That's my
I'm just an idiot is what I am. And I invite these people in, and then I look back at the text and I'm such a moron because it's like 04982 XYZ at Hotmail, and I'm like, why did I do that?
Right. Don't do that.
It was just a panic, and I'm thinking, oh my God, just an idiot.
But, my dad had his computer. He clicked on a link, and they took over his computer, and he was watching the mouse kind of go around, and he finally unplugged everything, and he had the same thing. He was embarrassed to tell me. He was like, hey, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I don't know what to do. And I said, take it down to the local computer repair place and just have them give it a once-over. But
I'm not embarrassed more than I don't want to tell the CEO of the house, which I had to. Hey, and she's just, and I know, she's not here today at the house. She's actually at where she works, and I just know the tone of the text is like, I married, pardon my French, a fucking fool. Yeah. And I just know that's what it is, and because I've been with her so long, and I just know when she responds in a certain way, and I'm like, God, I just feel like the kid at home who just can't quite get things right.
I don't answer a phone call if I don't know the number. You know what I mean? I don't. And opening emails, I've been there. You click on something and you're like, oh, they could have got me. So just don't do anything as the default. And you know darn well the CEO of your household's going, I can't leave the house. This guy is giving away our bank information.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's not bringing any income in, and he's giving away our money. I mean, I can go find someone on the street like a hobo who does all that. and might be better looking.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
I get it.
You have redeeming qualities, Puck.
I don't know what they
Yeah.
and everybody. And then I'm getting all these texts
Yeah.
from people because I talked about it on the Daily Puck Drop this morning, and I'm getting all these emails from people. You got scammed. You got scammed. And I swear to God, if I have $1 for everyone that now sends me an email telling me I got scammed, it's not making me feel better. Because I'm that guy. I'm that fool. You know, it's like you're in Africa, right? And it's like the lions are chasing after the zebras, and there's the weak zebra that's left behind. That's me. I'm the zebra.
But you know what? You're aware that you got scammed. All right. So my wife, investigative reporter for a TV station for years, and she's done stories on people that got scammed. Whether it was a romance scam, somebody on Facebook pretending to be someone else, or a military scam. That's another one that goes around where people, hey, I'm overseas. I can't get home. I'm trying to get to my family. Can you wire me the money for my airfare?
I would say, yeah, sure. What do you want?
She did a story on a lady who basically gave away her life savings. And at the end of it, even though it was obvious to everyone that you've been scammed, she still had this shred of a hope that it wasn't going to be a scam, and that, and you just walk away from watching that, slapping your forehead going, okay, like, Puck, at least you got had. Chalk it up as a life learning lesson. You didn't give away your life savings, and you got scammed. That part is the learning part we all need to get.
That's not making me feel better. Sorry, that I know that I've got scammed.
Yeah. Well, you won't do it again. I'm going to
test you. What?
I'm going to start texting you nonsense and see if you reply to it.
I feel this is going to happen more.
Anybody watching who has Puck's number, test him. This is a group effort here. We're going to train this guy.
Yeah, but see, so now this has happened, right?
Yeah.
So I've done all the things, and then I'm asking my wife, well, what do I do? And she's probably like, my God, you're 48 and an adult. Don't you know how to do this? Like, just go to your bank account and shut it all off. So then I've done all that. I've turned it off, and now I got to replace the card. But now comes all the other stuff. Yeah. Because now I got to get the new card, right?
Yeah.
And now I got to put in all that new information, all these stupid websites that I've got.
Right. Yeah.
And even the bad ones too.
Yeah. Your subscription to JohnCanzano.com in jeopardy right now. I got to make sure.
Oh, that's right. See, now I've got to how does that happen? I've got to update that.
Into this. You've sucked me into your drama as well. So.
Yeah, can you comp me for a while?
There you go.
Is there a way? Hey, what do we got up there at JohnCanzano.com? I saw the headline, and we have the official time and date, the death of the conference, huh?
9:33.
God damn it, Oregon State.
Yeah, Sunday night, 9:33 Pacific time. It's 12:33 in Lexington, Kentucky. Couple things going on here, like the final strike. Like, we've had a lot of lasts with the Pac-12, last football season, last championship game, last basketball tournament, all that stuff. But this was the last team of the Pac-12 still competing. Oregon State outlasted everybody, ironically. There they are at 12:30 in the morning on Monday morning in Lexington, Kentucky, down to their final strike. They got a runner on third base. They knock him in. They have a chance to play on. If they score twice in the ninth, they win the game. They end up playing Monday. And, it was a called third strike. And it hit me like they scanned, like the camera pans to the Oregon State dugout. And you get that normal long faces, we're going to sit in the dugout for a while look. But there was something more going on, too, because, I made a point of being there, and I'm sure a lot of other people did, too, to see this, kind of to see it through Pac-12 After Dark for the final time. And then I started thinking about Bill Walton and Rick Neuheisel and John Elway and Jackie Robinson and John Olerud and all these great players who had played in the Pac-12 over the years. And it just kind of drummed all that up again. And, but it was the final moment. And now I think we all can kind of try to pivot a little bit.
It's hard though, right? With all these lasts, it's just hard and hard and hard. And I don't know. It's gonna take me a long time to get over it. And I know people watching and listening to this are like, God, Jesus, get over it already. But I don't know. It's gonna come back in waves a lot, John. And I know in the fall it's really gonna hit me hard. Someone was asking me the other day about, hey, you excited about Cougar football? How many games are you gonna go over to? I'm like, a couple. I got season tickets. I mean, they're not much. It's a donation to the school and all that, but I don't know. Not as many as I used to go to. which sucks because I love college sports and I love college football.
And I think there's going to be a little rubbernecking going on because you're going to get some fanfare with Washington's first game in the Big Ten, Oregon's first game, Stanford and Cal playing in the ACC, Utah in the Big 12. You're going to have all that going on in the background while you're trying to digest, what feels like relegation. I had an interview with Ann McCoy, the interim AD at Washington State. I thought she did a really nice job of kind of changing the tone of that conversation a little bit. And it wasn't so much what she said, Puck, but it was kind of the way she said it. She was kind of like, okay, enough with the woe is me belly aching. That's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
She says, now it's about, can you get Washington State and Oregon State fans really to tune into the CW so that the numbers rate as high as possible? Can you get people to show up so that you can show, the other conferences that might potentially one day come calling that the brands of these two schools are better than they were, 2-3 years ago? And can they win games? And in Jake Dickert's case, it's like he's got a really experienced team outside of the quarterback position where he loses Cam Ward, playing competition that probably isn't as deep and good as what he saw last year. Could Washington State sneak in there and grab that wild card at that at-large berth in the playoff? Like, could they be a playoff contender 4 or 5 weeks into the season? We'll see. But she just kind of talked about how, like, you can't sit around and feel sorry for yourself forever. At some point, you got to get busy living, as they say in Shawshank.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's well said. But it's like what I'm gonna experience, and I think what Wazoo fans are going to experience this fall, and I think what Oregon State fans will experience. This is what sparked this was this graduation party that I went to, which led to the leaving of the baseball glove behind, which led to me being scammed.
Right.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the 10-year-old's fault,
right?
That we're all here.
Or are you blaming Fox? Because,
how do I blame Fox? There's some ways.
How do you get to that part of the conversation?
I will. I'll find a way. Yeah. But there was someone there. It was a Beaver fan. He was head to toe. He was decked out in Oregon State stuff. And I said, hey, it's us. We're the last ones. We're the last ones standing. And we kind of joked that because, and I think both fan bases feel this way. And I'm kind of rambling here, but I said, hey, we're together until one of us gets an offer from someone else, and then we'll leave the other one behind. And we all know how that works. But I guess I understand what she's saying. But I would say that it's how I feel right now about the NBA. I always feel with the NBA that until the Sonics come back, there's this big party that's been going on for a decade now with the league that we're not a part of. And I'm going to feel that way when college football starts in the fall. There's this big party that's going on. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is involved, including, the school that, is in my backyard right here in Seattle. And I bet Oregon State fans are going to feel the same way. All this has taken place, and it's cool, and it's new and exciting venture of college football. And yet we're sitting back going, why can't we be a part of that?
Yeah. And look, the potential rebuild or chaos in the ACC creates this kind of intersection where the two schools are going to have to make some decisions. Like, do they rebuild and go to 8? And it's not going to be fun when you see the names of the schools that are talked about when they talk about rebuilding. But, the potential for the chaos in the ACC, I think, is a more uplifting thought for the Pac-2 or the Pac-12, because it could create a need for, if Stanford and Cal suddenly have nowhere to go and Brett Yormark goes, hey, let's create a Pacific Division. Now you're cooking. You got something there. But she said, Ann McCoy, I thought she played it well, because I've heard so much of this. Woe is me. This sucks. This stinks. And you can do that all day. But in her position, she cannot afford to do that. She's got to raise money. She's got to galvanize the athletic department. She's got to get Jake Dickert's head pointed in the right direction. And because that football team wins some games, and you're talking week 5, week 6, are they the highest ranked non-Power 4 conference member? Can they be there with Boise State, who everyone expects to kind of be that team, or San Diego State? If that's the conversation, I think it'll be, at least for now, it's not like Seattle losing the NBA. There's something in that void that's worth checking out.
Are you surprised just that you brought up Jake Dickert and then your conversation with her? You surprised how well he was able to maintain that staff and be those players throughout all of this. I thought it was going to be a mass exodus of both.
Yeah, and Oregon State got hit, but we didn't know if it was Jonathan Smith leaving or is it the loss of, hey, you're not in the Pac-12 as we once knew it. But I think you look over at Washington State, it's evident that the NIL collective retained players. Dickert was able to hold on to the bulk of that roster. That's a good team that's coming back, and given the competition they're going to play, I think they'll surprise some people. Losing Cam Ward doesn't help, but Dickert held it together. He held the line, and then he was able to kind of pivot. And I think he signed 27 or 28 high school seniors who will be freshmen next year, and he played that game right because he's got the experience and the depth for next season. Now he's got guys on his roster that he at least has a chance to retain. I think Dickert has played this very well. The key, though, is going to be don't get blown off the field against Washington in what is, week 3 of the season. And, get those wins early that sort of creates this groundswell of momentum. I think it will be a very hopeful early part of the season for Washington State. Oregon State's going to have a different task because Trent Bray, we just don't know. Can the guy coach? How good will they be? Do they have a quarterback? There's questions at Oregon State right now that Washington State's not having to deal with.
What else did you take away with that interview with McCoy, the interim AD at Wazoo? Obviously, I would assume you took away that she wants the job.
She wants the job. She's, I asked her, did she formally interview for the job? She said no. She's talked with President Schultz, Kirk Schultz, about it. She sees this as a 60-day kind of ongoing on-the-job interview. She's not going to sit down and do a formal interview. She said the pitch was, hey, if I prepare for a formal interview, I'm not doing the job. So are you going to have me prepare for the interview or you just want to watch me work? Her experience at the school, 23 years, knowing the coach, knowing where the money's buried, knowing the donors, valuable. I think one thing she could do that maybe Pat Chun fell a little bit short on is I think, I heard from a lot of Cougar Collective and donors to Washington State Athletics who said that they have felt over the last few years that there's a lack of communication or there's some distance between the university's athletic department and the fans. Maybe she closes that gap because she is viewed as this very collegial sort of, put her arms around everybody kind of leader. But, I think the other thing I took away is we talked about the money. Nobody wants to talk about the money with the CW TV deal. And I tried to ask her. She said we got enough money. That's all she would do. And Oregon State won't tell me anything about the money. I'm told it's around $1 million a game that they're getting. So total media rights package, about $13 million. Now, she brought something up in talking about linear distribution that made me ask some more questions after the interview of the CW network. They hold all the rights for those football games, those 13 games. If they want to stream them, they can stream them. If they don't want to stream them, they won't. So I have some questions like, 99.9% of the people can get the CW, but I had some people ask me, like, are we going to be able to stream it if we can't get it, or if we're off somewhere, we want to watch it on our phone? And that question is TBD because the CW is saying they're not sure they're going to stream the games. They might just say, hey, they're on linear TV. We want you to tune in and watch them.
Well, that would change. I mean, yeah, because now you again, it's another problem. You want as many people to be able to watch the games as you can, and if someone's not at home or not, has to watch it on their phone or iPad or something, you want to at least give them that opportunity to do so.
But the idea being like, all right, let's say I use Hulu, hypothetically, okay, in case there's a scammer watching. All right, so I'm in the grocery store. I can tune into Hulu while I'm in the grocery store, and I can get the CW on Hulu. Or you can get it wherever your provider is. So I'm not sure there's a need there.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
But given that people are talking now about everybody going to streaming, I reached out to Teresa Gold, the Pac-12 commissioner, this morning, and I said, where are you with streaming? And she said, we're not sure. We got to talk to the CW about it because they own 100% of the media rights. It's not just the linear rights. They have them all. So if CW wants to do that, they can do that. So we shall see.
One of your pieces up there as well, we've talked about, the passing and the impact of his life as Bill Walton, and you shared up at johncanzano.com the list of books that he sent you over the years. He shared with you his favorite list of books.
70 How many books?
70. Yeah. How many of these have you read?
3. And here's the thing. it's a journey into the mind of Bill Walton. So I have heard from so many people who said, Father's Day is coming up. It's one of the biggest book buying seasons of the year. I was, on Sunday, I'd kind of thought about this because Walton sent me this list of 70 books during the pandemic because he said people are sitting around. Maybe they can read some of these books. He sent me his top 70 books and he sent me his movie list, Puck. I haven't even published that yet.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's not quite what you expect. Yes, there's some music, musician books like Bill Graham, his autobiography's on there. Shoe Dog with Phil Knight's on there. Kareem's book, John Wooden's book, they're all on there. Like there's some things you expect, but he's got a whole bunch of books on kind of the Western frontier written by Tim Egan. And he's got books like a book called Ectopia that is about this hypothetical society where Northern California, Oregon, and Washington break away from the rest of the United States. They basically leave the Union. They have this self-sustaining community, and this New York Times writer comes in to write the story 20 years later. Like
fantastic
books. And then, a book about how Australia became Australia. And so it's autobiographies, it's fiction, nonfiction. And I published them all. I linked to all of them so people could very easily go, hey, I want to, link to this book and check it out. And I heard from so many people who said, my gosh, I haven't read most of these books. And I know I'm looking at the list going, there's about 2 or 3 on there that really jumped out at me that I'm going to go buy. So, thank you, Bill Walton. Your legacy lives on.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah, go check it up at johncanzano.com. See the full list because I like reading, but then I don't like reading.
Get an audiobook, okay?
But then I don't. Okay, that's a debate now. That's a debate in our household because my wife does the audiobooks, and then I claim, you didn't read it, you listened to it.
Well, just absorb.
Same thing.
Yeah, for the purposes of this argument.
Same.
just when you're in the car,
just give.
What are you doing when you're driving to a baseball tournament?
Yelling at my son. Get that goddamn glove down.
On the way to the tournament,
yes, the way.
You're yelling at him to get his glove down in the back.
Get your glove down. I don't want to hear you bitching moaning in the dugout. I've read, I think, one Shoe Dog. I think that's the only one on this list I've read.
But there's a few in there where I'd never even heard of them. I'd never even heard of the books. And there's a book on how Amazon got started. It's kind of the Jeff Bezos story. It's called The Everything Store. There's there's just a whole bunch of really interesting books. And it's kind of like some of it you go, oh, yeah, it's Bill Walton. Okay, this is groovy. Here's a groovy title. But there are other books in there where you're like, I had no idea he was interested in kind of the Western frontier. And there's a book about the 10 maps that will teach you everything you need to know in life. It's a book about maps. So check it out.
I kind of want to read the Ecotopia.
Yeah.
That one sounds really good.
All right. Jumped out at me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to, you know what? I'll pick up one of those. And here's the thing. I'm a slow reader, so maybe I'll switch back and forth between reading it and listening to it. I brought up the NBA and expansion, all that. You always have kind of your ear to this kind of stuff. What are we hearing? You hearing anything on this one? A potential announcement, just anything at all that we can kind of sink our teeth into?
Well, as soon as the TV deal's done, I think it's going to kind of spark a lot of discussion about expansion and maybe some decisions on expansion. But, the NBA's done a really nice job. Adam Silver's done a nice job correcting some of the things that David Stern left undone. And the biggest stain on David Stern's tenure as the commissioner in the NBA was ripping the Sonics out of Seattle. It was petty. It was ridiculous. It made no sense from the NBA standpoint. Losing that team is a travesty. And so I think Adam Silver's looking to replace that divot. It's the worst kept secret in sports. It's going to be Vegas. It's going to be Seattle. It's just a matter of time. But I really do think the pivot point becomes the TV deal's done. And I think you're going to see some dominoes fall after that where people go, okay, expansion. And then I also think, people are going to turn to Jodie Allen and go, hey, the price of this franchise is going to be at an all-time high, the Blazers organization. Time to let go. Like management fees aside that she's probably collecting as the trustee, it's time to let go of that organization and let a real owner get in there and have some vision and build something.
Okay, I've been asked this several times. This has come up in conversations here in the last week, and I can't remember the timeline. Do you know the timeline again? because it varies, right? 10 or 15 years or 20 years after his death. What is it that she needed to have all of these assets that he had? She needed to sell them off.
I have not seen the trust, and I don't know anybody who has seen the trust, but I've talked to people sort of involved and close and people at Vulcan Inc. And I was told early on that the directives were clear. His estate was to be liquidated. The funds were to be used for his passion projects. The real estate was sold. The artwork was sold. The yacht was sold. The submarine was sold. She has clung to these sports franchises. I wanted to be on that submarine too.
Who doesn't want to be on that? Come on.
She has just got these two sports franchises, the Seahawks and the Blazers, in a stranglehold. And you can see what's happening, like Damian Lillard, Russell Wilson, the changes that have happened with these franchises. There's some parallels in what, has gone on under the leadership of Jodie Allen and Burt Kold. But ultimately, when Phil Knight comes out with Alan Smolinski, the owner of the Dodgers, co-owner of the Dodgers, he comes out, they say, we want to buy this team. We'll pay you $2 billion for it. They lowballed her. Sure. She does what billionaires like to do. She tells the other billionaire to go pound sand, tells the 85-year-old Phil Knight, hey, it could be 20 years. That's what she said in her news release. It could be 20 years before I sell the franchise. Now, that raised some alarm bells, and I had people who reached out to me who are estate attorneys and people at Vulcan, and they said she's collecting a management fee as the trustee. And it's probably not 7 figures, Puck. It's probably 8-figure management fee. So the question is, how motivated is she if there is no timeline that is baked into the trust? How motivated is Jodie Allen to actually sell the teams? Because she doesn't benefit from the sale of the Blazers or the sale of the Seahawks. And in fact, she loses money on that potential management fee that a trustee collects. And so I think there's a real conflict of interest with her at this point. If the TV deal is done and she continues to sit on the Blazers and just kind of sit there and squat, I think that there's a real question about whether or not, will she ever do this? Or is this going, I don't know.
There was a story. I was just looking it up. It was, I think the Washington Post had it said 5 years in, it says, according to the Washington Post, any potential sale of the Seahawks would not come until 2025 at the soonest, in large part due to a provision of their deal with the state of Washington. It said some had expected the franchise to be sold next year. If it is sold before May, the Seahawks would owe 10% of the sale price to the state of Washington under the terms of the 1997 referendum that funded the construction of Lumen Field. The provision no longer applies thereafter, and some observers had regarded that as a prospective starting point to the sale prospect.
Who knows? But let me put you in that position. Let's say your billionaire brother has passed away. He's worth $20 billion. You're left to be the trustee, Puck. As the trustee, you're going to collect a percentage of the estate's value every year as the manager of that estate. By the way, are you happy with the fact that, he didn't leave you the bulk of the estate? I don't know. And she's left kind of going, I'll wait. Blazers aren't for sale. Seahawks aren't for sale. There's no 10% penalty in the state of Oregon for the Blazers. And she has not made a move with that organization that says to me she's interested in being a long-term owner. Adam Silver's kind of punting when he gets asked the question. He can't force her to sell. There's no Donald Sterling situation, even though there are some skeletons in the closet there. But it's really problematic. She might. What happens if Jodie Allen it just says, I'm never going to sell them, and then does it go into her estate? And then what happens to the franchises at that point? It's a real problem looming here.
You've noted this, and others have noted it. She's not a big NBA fan. She's not a big sports fan down there, right? Basketball. But what is the money's just I mean, she doesn't have enough money. Money's motivating her not to sell the team. I mean,
there's
just sell it and be rid of it.
There's another factor too. Anybody who is been in those rooms with her, has come out of those rooms, meetings at Vulcan and other places, saying that Jodie likes to be Queen Bee. I heard that multiple times from people who were in those rooms, whether they were with the Blazers organization or the Seahawks organization, that when Paul was in the room, Paul was definitely calling the shots. But when Paul was absent and Jodie was in the room, I was told that Jodie sort of became the de facto, I'm important, I'm Queen Bee, I'm running the show. So how much of this is rooted in she just likes being in charge and, it's her time as the trustee, or how much of it is, hey, I'm getting $20 million a year just by showing up and, going to a few Blazer games and a few Seahawks games. It's not a bad gig.
Yeah, no, I guess, yeah, you're right. It's not a bad gig. What did we make surprised that Dan Hurley turned down the job there with the Lakers? We've seen this trend, right? College coaches are jumping to go to the professional ranks because they don't want to deal with NIL, and this seemed like to be the latest example of, the best college basketball coach that we have right now was going to jump ship, go to the NBA, didn't want to deal with the transfer portal, the NIL, and all that kind of stuff, but allegedly or reportedly turns down a $70 million offer. We can get into all that one because something is off about this story, and it feels that it was a PR machine led by someone to get all this news and info out there. But the news is he turned it down. He's staying at UConn. Did that surprise you?
No. Last week I said on my show that I thought he would turn it down and stay. I wondered how real his interest was. Adrian Wojnarowski, who, I know, I've known him for years. I respect him. He's terrific on the NBA. He is the person who broke the story about the Lakers' interest in Dan Hurley. Woj also wrote the book, The Miracle of St. Anthony, which is on Dan Hurley's father and the basketball power in, New Jersey that is the, St. Anthony. And so Woj has known Dan Hurley for years. And so if I'm Dan Hurley and I'm looking for some leverage, and I'm looking for the opportunity to tell my players on my team in this world of everybody's getting in the portal, everyone's getting NIL, that, hey, I explored the NBA, I explored another thing, and I think UConn's the best place in the world to be. This wouldn't be a bad strategic move to put out there. So I think your spider senses are on point. I also think Gino Auriemma just got an extension last week. Dan should be the natural, let's make him the lifetime coach at UConn thing. I won't be surprised 24, 48, 72 hours when we see, UConn has extended Dan Hurley and reworked his contract. But it just, the whole thing felt to me like, let me show you, I'm going to posture like I'm interested in this Lakers job. I think it's a bad job. I mean, when you got LeBron there and you have the pressure and the scrutiny, Dan Hurley might have a better job right now. I think he does.
Is that cross the lines there with Wojnarowski?
Just depends. Was it his idea, or is this coming, Dan Hurley's agent talking to Woj, or the Lakers talking to Woj? I'm not saying Woj did anything wrong. I'm just saying you can't deny the connections and his familiarity with that family and the fact that he's deeply sourced with the Hurley family. And so it didn't surprise me. But when I saw it, I went, here's Woj reporting on Hurley and the Lakers. And I just thought, the real loser is JJ Redick because, even if he ends up coaching the team, he now looks like he's the second choice that the Lakers didn't want. He's a fallback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Who initiates that though? Is it Hurley's agent that initiates it with the Lakers? I mean, or why don't the Lakers just come out right away and just say, well, we didn't really have all that much interest in him? I mean, how does that work, you think, behind the scenes?
For the Lakers, think about the motivation for them. Like, it shows, remember once upon a time, people went after Mike Krzyzewski 20 years ago.
Sure.
It shows that the Lakers are being proactive and they're trying to, land a hammer move here with the coach. And so from the Lakers standpoint, I see the benefit of that getting leaked and that getting out there. But nothing's getting out there in the way that it did without the Lakers wanting it out there and without Camp Hurley wanting it out there. That's how this comes to fruition. Because if I'm Dan Hurley and I don't want this out there, he's got a lifetime relationship with Adrian Wojnarowski where he can just say, hey, I don't want this reported. I need you to not report this. And he would have respected that.
You feel, though, he's been on the record, though, he has a desire to coach in the NBA. I was talking about this morning. I feel that he wants to coach in the NBA, but he probably has his eye on some job that's on the East Coast that we don't know about.
100% wants to be closer to home, somewhere where he's comfortable and familiar.
Next job.
That Lakers job is dicey, and I find it interesting that you don't see more proven coaches with a lot of experience raising their hand right now. You've got a podcaster who played in the NBA who's interested in this thing, and you have the Lakers.
I think I should apply for it.
But from the Lakers standpoint, I mean, let's say they end up with JJ Redick. They can always say, hey, we tried to get Dan Hurley. We tried to get the best college coach in America, and we threw a massive offer at him, and he wouldn't take it. He chose to go back to UConn. I mean, I think they win a little bit too.
Yeah. What'd you make of Caitlin Clark being left off the Olympic team? Boy, that got everybody up in arms this week. That was a good time. She has proved to be a talking point right now in sports.
Rod. She's a lightning rod.
She's unbelievable. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
I'm torn on this one.
Okay.
She does not deserve to be on the team. Let's start there. She's not good enough. Okay. There are players in the league that are better than her that should be on that team. But if the focus is just drawing eyeballs, and here's where it kind of runs counterintuitive to what everything else we see in sports is all this stuff that's going on in sports about media rights and brands and media markets driving the bus, and Fox and ESPN and these TV partners sort of influencing the playoff and everything else. Like if I'm at NBC and I've got the rights to the Olympics, I'm leaning on Team USA right now, USA basketball, going, hey, she needs to be on the roster because she's going to draw eyeballs. Now, again, she doesn't deserve to be there, but did Oregon State, Washington State did the Pac-12 deserve any of that, what happened to it? No. It was all driven by the fact that, hey, the brands of Washington and Oregon and the media market that is LA drive the conversation, and that's why decisions happen. So along those lines, maybe this is a one sports entity that's standing up going, hey, we're not going to be influenced by the TV stuff.
Okay. But okay, let me just read this off. Who would you who's more deserving? Player A, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, or player B, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists?
Caitlin Clark plays on a bad team. She's getting a bunch more shots. I don't like Diana Taurasi on this team. I think
I didn't say it was Diana Taurasi.
She's had her time. Okay. There are other players in the league that could easily slide into that position. And I still here's the dirty little secret. Like, I kind of think this was good for Caitlin Clark. Like, the USA basketball people did her a favor, because we know there's animosity out there, whether it's driven by jealousy or respect or whatever that thing is that some WNBA players have against Caitlin Clark. That animosity is real and it's out there. If she is put on the USA basketball roster, it only makes that ignite. That's throwing gasoline on it. Now, the way this is played out, it takes the pressure off Caitlin Clark. She's able to sit back and go, it's not my time. Gives me something to work for. I'm motivated now. They place her as an alternate. Dirty little secret, Puck. What are the odds one of these players that is on the roster is not going to be able to go, and she ends up playing anyway? Keep an eye on that, and it's a win-win. Yeah. But I just don't – the WNBA players that are against Caitlin Clark sort of having the glow, they need to look around at the arenas. They're 94% capacity.
She did.
The viewership's up.
Didn't her game the other day, didn't they get 20,000 people?
Yeah.
20,000 people in. I mean, I just, I would have, and I think there's a lot of people out there would have tuned in this summer. Like, I'm not the biggest Olympic watcher, but I would have tuned in this summer to see that team play with her on it. I'm not, honest with you, real motivated to go watch them play. They're going to dominate the thing, and with or without her, they're going to win it. But, guys, someone like Diana Taurasi, I mean, if you want to get into deserve it, she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't deserve it more than Caitlin Clark. And I just think this is the old guard saying, no, she needs to pay her dues.
Yeah. The head coach of the Olympic team is a head coach in the WNBA. And if you look at the opening night tweet from the coach, I think she coaches the Lynx. If you look at the opening night tweet, she tweeted out this hashtag, the W is more than just one player. Yeah. That's the head coach of USA basketball.
I've never seen a league who needs to get more people to watch it than they get this generational talent that comes in that has this great interest that everybody now is jumping in to watch, and they just want to crap on it. It's mind-boggling to me.
But people that don't know how to win. I mean, you don't know how to say thank you when you're given a gift. You don't know how to win. But I think this worked out well for Caitlin Clark. I think she said all the right things. And if she ends up on the team, great. But, she's been playing basketball nonstop here. I can't imagine how exhausted she must be. Maybe she welcomes the time off and the fact that she's not going to walk into that locker room in Paris and have everybody hate her. So, keep an eye on that. She may end up there anyway. But if I'm NBC, you're right. I would have watched. And I know a lot of other people would have watched too, all wire to wire. Yeah. And especially if she's playing in garbage time, because it keeps you there while they're up, 50
E-
on some team that can't stay on the
And
court.
she doesn't have to be, now she can be a bit player on a team, so she can come off screens and she can shoot it from 40 feet and people will love it and whatever. The whole thing about all these sports, when you play globally, internationally, is to grow the game. And she's the number one person that she could grow the game over in Europe. But all right, great stuff as always. You're the best. Love having you on. What do you got cooking up at johncanzano.com?
Well, this week, a lot of Big Ten stuff coming down the pipeline, and the rebuild, the plan for Oregon State, Washington State. I'm going to dive into that. Now, before I go, Puck, can you give me the last 4 of your social?
Yeah, 6124.
No.
Oh, shoot.
No, this is what I'm talking about.
See?
I'm
so gullible. God, so gullible. There he is, man. John Canzano, johncanzano.com. Bald Face True, 750 the game down in Portland. All brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Go there now. Zeke'sPizza.com. Best selection of local Northwest craft beers. I lied. I got one more. Plans for Father's Day? You got a good Father's Day planned?
Yeah, we're going to lay low, man. I think we're going to go to brunch. Okay. We're going to have a breakfast together. But my whole idea of living large is kind of sitting around on Father's Day. I don't need to go do something.
You want to be left alone.
I don't want to play croquet in the park. I don't need to be out swimming in the river. I told my wife, let's just go to breakfast and then let's kind of lay low. Yeah. That's making it for me.
Yeah, I want to watch a little golf and I want to take a nap.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to have an afternoon cocktail and kind of snore for a little while. So, all right, you're the best. There it is, episode 152 in the books. We'll talk to you next week, John.
Thanks, Puck.
Good.